All right. Hey there, everyone. And welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me, pretty much as always, unless she kicks me off the show, is our marketing director and one of our other coaches, Jen Waybor. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Adam.
All right. It is morning where you and I are. I didn't say good morning to the entire audience. All right. Because we know that a lot of you are watching from another time zone or watching or listening to the podcast in the syndication. So good, whatever time of day it is when you happen to be picking us up. We have a really cool guest for you guys today. And for those of you that were at our Mile High Mastermind, the 5th annual Mile High Mastermind last year, and somebody who in fact did just commit to speaking at the 6th annual Mile High Mastermind next September, Jason Sheffield. Jason, welcome.
Hey, good morning or afternoon or whatever to everybody. Good to be with you guys.
Oh, I don't know that we can express how excited we are to have you here with us. And that certainly held true for your attendance, your presentation, your presence at the Mile High Mastermind event last month. I think Jen and I really feel that we've kind of struck gold finally connecting with you, and it happened in a really weird roundabout. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know sort of way, which was really, really cool. Jen, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about how you crossed paths?
I'm going to have to tag Sean in this. So we had a speaker back out about the week of Mile High Mastermind. I think I've blacked this out because it was so stressful. It was 2:00 or something, and she told me she couldn't make it anymore. And I was supposed to have a chiropractor appointment, and roll back to when I was 10 years old. My youth pastor at church, I hadn't seen him in 20 years. He now works at my chiropractor office here in Colorado Springs. And I texted him and I said, I'm not going to make my appointment. I have to replace the speaker. I don't have time to drive into the Springs. And he's like, well, what kind of speaker are you looking for? And literally probably 3 minutes later, he's like, I got somebody for you. And my thought originally was like, who the hell did he just find in the like he walks up to a patient
in the chiropractor world? Who do we find?
Like,
right.
Yeah.
And then Jason calls me and he's like, yeah, used to work for Bomb Bomb. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bomb Bomb. And I was like, what? Are you a unicorn? Because okay. And Jason rearranged his schedule for us. And he will also be speaking at Social Media Day next week. So we are forever grateful for both Jason and Sean. I owe Sean lunch as a thank you for hooking us up with Jason. For sure.
Yeah, it's probably more than lunch, but we'll talk about that as it progresses. Yeah. And before we get too far into you giving out all of Jason's spoilers, Jason, give us a little bit of background on who you are, where you came from, how this really relates to the Mastermind event, our podcast, next year's Mastermind event. Why does this connection make sense?
Yeah, right. So, similarly, I spent kind of my 20s in sales, doing all sorts of different things from retail to different types of experiences, events that I did, hosted, and kind of over time found my way back to Colorado Springs, where I'm located, and ended up working at Bomb Bomb. Kind of crazy. I knew the founders of Bomb Bomb. They were actually, ironically enough, youth leaders of mine when I was like 13 and 14 years old.
I didn't know that part. That's awesome.
And so when I came back found myself in the Springs, Bomb Bomb was just getting started. And through a mutual friend, I'd heard about kind of what they were doing. So I reached out to the guys, and ironically, I didn't get the job the first time I applied for it. They hired someone else, and I was heartbroken. I really wanted to work for them. I thought it'd be a cool experience. And then about 4 days later, they called me back and they were like, you know what? We decided to go a different direction. We want to go ahead and offer you a position with us. And that was 2012. So January of 2012, go back. So almost 10 years ago now. Yeah. And I got started with them. This is, again, iPhone is just coming out. It's been out for a few years, but video on the iPhone is still very new for people. Most social platforms hadn't adopted video yet. Video was still very hard. People were just getting web cameras on their laptops, but most of the time you needed an external web camera if you're going to do any sort of video. And here we were trying to start a company, figuring out how to record videos and send it out to people. And so I got to cut my teeth and trying to figure that out. Everything from what is the video landscape look like? How do you create content around video? And got to spend a fun time doing that. After that, though, I jumped into the coaching side of things and did some consulting and working with sales teams, helping them build out their teams and structures. And so it was really fun when you guys reached out, because it was a world that I was very familiar with, but I kind of retired from that world. And as you mentioned, jumped into working kind of in the medical space, which is what I've been doing for the last several months. And so when I got the call, it was like I got to come out of retirement and go talk about something that I genuinely love. And that's why I think it was such a great fit.
And we couldn't agree more. And I think Jen nailed it when she used the term unicorn, because it really was a good fit. And since we're on the subject of talking about a little bit of your background, doing some consulting, doing some coaching, these were obviously very big things for you for a period of time. And we got a little bit of an enticement of that when we saw you speak last month at our event. And it seems like a couple of the attendees have actually reached out to you. Why don't you give us a little bit of insight as to what somebody would gain, how they can contact you, what the trick is to getting you to respond to them?
So it's because it's not my primary thing right now. Doing any coaching or consulting is something that I just really like to get to do as it comes my way. Really, the main way for people to get a hold of me is by sending me an email at jason@theunstuckbusiness.com, which is kind of my thing, helping businesses get unstuck in sales, marketing, content, those things. And often I like to just start things off by being able to provide my 2 cents as to what I see going on, which is a lot of times kind of an important part of the process. But to be able to do that, I actually require people to send me 2 cents. You got to send me 2 pennies. Send me an email, and then I'll send people my physical address. And then after I receive those 2 pennies, we'll reach out and start kind of a relationship and just kind of see where it goes from there, see if it's a good fit or not. But that's kind of the key thing. You can, again, send me an email at jason@theunstuckbusiness.com. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are a little bit. Although I'm glad that I did it, because I thought it was a penny, and now I know it's 2. I was about to shortchange you. I don't know what a penny is going to get you, or 1 penny more, but Jen, we owe him 4 pennies, not 2.
Oh, hey.
Mindy's listening. She's all over it.
All right, Mindy's all over it. Mindy, 4 pennies. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your presentation at the event last month, because it was obviously relatively generalized for a large audience and for some really spot-on ideas, some pillars, as you put it, into what marketing to an audience, video marketing to an audience should look like, is supposed to look like. Why don't you run us through a few of those ideas? Because, man, they were brilliant.
You know, I think, so yeah, we covered 8 kind of key strategies for content creation. And I think the key thing to remember is that whatever the format is, a lot of times when we talk social, we get really hung up on the platforms, and we think about how do we game the algorithms and make sure Facebook's going to like my content over someone else's, or we focus so much on that side of things. And I think a lot of times that's kind of missing the point. At the end of the day, the platform itself doesn't really matter, and it's going to change, right? The landscape's always shifting. It's always changing. What got you here? If you got big on Facebook 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago, so much easier to build community in that space. And now it's getting so much harder. It's not something that we give up on, but it's shifting, right? And so for me, learning how to create content is actually the most important thing. The platform itself doesn't matter nearly as much. And of course, those things are important, but I think it's easy to get distracted and thinking like, oh, I got to game the algorithms so my BS content will reach more people. But if you actually spent the time focusing on creating quality content, you may not have to worry as much about actually gaming the algorithms. So true. And so for me, when it comes to kind of creating content, it comes down to what I found to be true, just kind of 8 core strategies that are really important. And it all starts off with just being true to who you are. At the end of the day, content is about your unique perspective on the profession that you are involved with. And so whether that's real estate, mortgage, insurance, you've gotten into this game for a specific reason, and you have a unique perspective on what that looks like. You have a unique clientele. You have an audience that you're working with. You have a perspective on the world that people need to understand. And if you don't work from that perspective and you're just regurgitating what you're hearing from everybody else, then that content, you could have all the right algorithms in the world and it's still going to fall flat.
All right. So original organic content is still uber important.
Yes.
Okay. And obviously that's likely to have a greater impact on your edge rank in the algorithms than what we've all been focused on for so long in improving our edge rank in the algorithms.
Yes.
Okay. And video's got to be a big part of that.
Video, yeah, I think video is one of those things. We continue to see it, not only just how the platforms interact with it, but beyond that, it's just a better quality interaction with your audience, right? Because you can see, you can hear, and again, I can nerd out all day on nonverbal communication and the value of that. But you cannot gain the feeling, the emotions, the tonality when it's just the text. And so by providing video, And
I think it's also important to understand, or for our audience to understand, that a big piece of video is really, really letting your audience get to know you. And a lot of that's the nonverbal, how I speak, my tone, my inflection, my sense of humor. But our audience, after 10 years of a weekly video blog, and this is our 4th year of our video cast, which obviously becomes our podcast. My audience knows how I dress, what my wardrobe is, what the inside of my home office looks like, what my actual office looks like, what the inside of my car looks like, my pets, my family, on and on. So I think a big piece of that true connection that we're trying to make through the course of video is letting our audience really get to know us. And I don't think there's any other way to do that than video.
Well, and the thing that's so funny is so often people, they're scared to do video. Let's just be honest, right? I've yet to really interact with too many people that someone in the room or someone in the audience or even someone that's listening now probably is like, well, I don't want to do video because I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah, that is how you look and sound in person.
It is. And here's
so get over it.
If someone isn't going to connect with you over video, what makes you think that they're really your ideal client at the end of the day? And how often do you end up working with people that cause you more headache and can end up costing you more money that you might have filtered out by just simply showing up on video? And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't like that guy. I don't want to do business with that guy. Frankly, they probably weren't a client you would have wanted in the first place.
Right.
And so,
the ability to repel people that we don't want to work with is also huge. That's a great point.
And I think it's something that if we come at business from a mindset of scarcity, then we are always going to be afraid of getting on video. We're always going to be afraid of these things because we view the world through thinking it's scarce, that I need everything I can. But if we shift that perspective and think about it from an abundance perspective and think, at the end of the day, there are quality clients that want to do business with me. And I'm confident enough in what I look like and how I sound and how I actually do my business, that those people are going to come to me and I'm going to find those people. And video becomes a key way of getting that done.
Yeah, agree. No, these are huge points. All right, keep going because we're going to run out of time before we get, every ounce of stellar content we want out of you. For those of you watching that aren't going to get everything because we're doing this in such a summary type of way, don't forget about Social Media Day. Don't forget about the My Mastermind. But yes, keep going. This is fantastic content.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've really watched a lot of people struggle with when it comes to content creation is also the idea that the originality thing, right? And again, I don't quite remember exactly how we articulated it, but what I find so often is people get hung up on trying to be original. And something that's so interesting, and I actually had this thought the other day, of watching a movie or watching some other form of content. Basically, content is just simply the idea, it's your perspective on the world that you're putting on screen. It's your lens that people are watching something through. And if you think about that, your lens is unique. It is in of itself original because you are original, right? As a human being, you are unique. There's no one else like you. And if you get hung up on trying to do something that no one's ever done before, it's never going to happen. You're always going to have a block on the content that you're creating. But if you can shift that and think a little bit about a perspective of your unique view on something, then you've got content for days. You will never not have something to share. You will never not have something that your audience will find value in because it's your unique perspective. And so you got to continue to remember that and get like, again, forget the whole being original thing because it's never going to happen.
You know, that's really eye-opening. I had always kind of maintained the mentality that as humans walk the earth, we kind of have this subconscious belief that we are the star of our own movie and the rest of you all are just supporting cast.
Exactly.
And that it was a bad thing. That we were, you know, almost selfish in that sense. And it's not true in this case. What's really going on is that we're merely giving people a different perspective, our perspective. What does the world look like through our eyes? Which is really unique. Thank you. That's something really valuable for me anyway.
And I think the thing that sometimes people get, especially in service-based industries, right? So, you know, kind of knowing whether you're a real estate agent, you're in mortgage, you're in insurance, you're kind of in this world that you may feel is a little bit unsexy. Let's just call a thing, right? Insurance probably is not the sexiest thing that's out there.
It might be a little sexier than mortgages, though, I promise.
Maybe a little, it can, but I don't know, mortgages, yeah, exactly, right? You're in this thing where you think, okay, what do I have? But at the end of the day, you have knowledge, you have experience that your clientele don't. I don't know I don't understand all the elements of mortgages. And as a home buyer, whether I'm trying to refinance or I'm buying my first home or I'm selling and I'm buying a second one, there's so much that I don't get in that whole process that your content has to always be able to come back to being able to provide value, right? Which is another key point that we talked a lot about. At the end of the day is that when you're creating content, it's all about what does your audience need? What does your audience need to hear from you? What's the value that you can provide them? And again, thinking through it from a perspective of you may say it 15 times a day and you may get tired of the value that you provide. And frankly, I've been there. I've been like, especially when I was at BombBomb and working in, teaching people how to do video for a while, my kind of role there was the director of training and education. So it was my team's responsibility to keep people doing video so we kept our customers, right? Because if you weren't going to record a video, then you're not going to want to keep our service. So we invested a lot in how to train and educate. It was a key function of the company. And I got really tired of saying the same things over and over and over. And yet, to each audience I talked to, it was unique. It was new. They'd never heard it before. And so you got to get over yourself and thinking, man, I've said this 15 times or 20 times or 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. Your audience hasn't heard it. And so it's new to them.
That is fantastic.
So,
yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Let me ask you, Adam, what's something that you find in your experience that you repeat all the time that it gets tiring for you, but you see that aha moment when people hear it for the first time?
So I think one of the biggest ones, and I'm going to kind of shift gears here because most of our audience knows that I own a mortgage brokerage as well as coach other originators and real estate agents, etc. And really, I think the biggest one is describing the difference to a client where they can tinker with costs on a mortgage. Do we want the lender to pay them, again, in exchange for a higher interest rate? Do you want to pay them yourself? Typically building them into your loan balance, not actually writing a check or coming out of pocket. And how your timeline, how long are you going to own this home? How long are you going to keep this house? How long are you going to keep the mortgage? Is really where you should consider the factor that dictates which of those options is going to be best for your finances. And there were a couple of eye-opening moments. One was I did a podcast with a financial planner, his podcast years ago, well, maybe not years ago, but it's been some time. And I explained this, and he said, nobody's ever asked me, in all the mortgages I've gotten over the years, nobody's ever asked me, how long do I plan on keeping this house? That blew my mind. That we're not asking these kinds of important questions was a little discerning for my general attitude about my brethren. But it is something that I explain on every transaction, every single time. Let's really look at this, especially in the last year and a half with what the mortgage-backed securities market has done, with what mortgage rates have done, because there's a good chance whatever mortgage you've taken in that last, 18 months, I've actually put two. I've refinanced my primary residence twice now during the pandemic. is likely the last mortgage you'll ever put on that property. So we really need to be thorough. We really need to be analytical. And when I kind of take a step back and realize that this is a unique individual, this is a unique scenario, this is a unique client, and that I need to do the exact same explanation, the exact same analytics on their transaction, because Bob's transaction is different than John's transaction, then I can circle back and recenter and realize why I'm doing it. And it's not about the redundancy of having to explain the process over and over the same way, but because it's a different scenario, a different consumer, a different client, it has to be treated with that same amount of integrity, respect, attention, detail, on and on. And that's what really keeps me from feeling like it's redundant.
And so the cool thing about that, what I hear too, Adam, is when you think about a content perspective, like the function or the form is always the same, but every time you go through the process, you have a new story to tell. Yeah. You have a new customer interaction. You have a new thing that maybe you learned or a new insight. And so when you think about then how you produce that into the content game and what you're posting on social or the stories that you're telling, it again, the subject matter may always be similar, but then the unique elements of your prospect or your client or what they went through. Now, again, you're not going to share all the nitty gritty and the details, but something you can glean out of that other people will connect with. And so I think that's the key when you're thinking about content strategies or how to say the same thing over and over, is leveraging the stories of your clients to drive the uniqueness. And that's what other people are going to connect with as well.
I agree. Yep. I think that's a big piece of the puzzle.
So then one of the other things I find in content is consistency, right? And that is one of the things that I find it really hangs people up, because everybody talks content, right? We know content is king. You can't have a social presence without content. It's everything that everybody focuses on. But what most people don't focus on is how to create content in a sustainably consistent way. They either come out the gate all hot and heavy and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to produce a podcast and it's going to be the most amazing thing. And this podcast, and they come out and they record 5 episodes and then they realize how fucking hard it is to do a podcast, right? Guest lineup, production quality, getting things moving, getting people to be consistent. And so they get 5 episodes in and they're like, never mind. This isn't going to work. They don't plan.
And they didn't get what they expected out of it.
Oh, that's
the results weren't there. What do you mean? Yeah. I didn't create 100 new connections, clients, whatever after 5 episodes. That's ridiculous. Why didn't it pay dividends?
Exactly. And so I think sometimes whenever you're beginning the process of thinking through your content strategy and what are you really going to dive into, you can't spread yourself too thin, right? So you can't be on every platform. It doesn't matter. You can't do it unless you have an entire team around you, which most small business owners don't have. So quit trying to be like all the other people and think you got to be on every platform. Find the one that's good for you. What's the right platform, right? For a lot of business professionals, it should just be LinkedIn, in my opinion. Quit focusing on TikTok and other platforms that just aren't your audience at the end of the day.
That's the kicker. Where is your audience?
Exactly. Right. Now, if you're working with new home buyers, right, maybe TikTok is the right platform because those new home buyers are looking for information. You can share bite-sized pieces that they're really going to connect with. So where's your audience? What's the right? And then from there, what's the plan? How are you going to do this in a way that's sustainable? And frankly, do you like it? I can't tell you how many business owners don't like creating content. They're not into it. And then they have this guilt complex that they're not doing it. And it's because they're trying to figure out how to do something that just doesn't come natural to them. So figure out how to make it natural. What is your unique thing? How are you going to do it? And then get it done. But that to me is the thing that separates the people that are really being successful in this and are not, is they figured out what works well for them. They have a plan. And then they actually have genuinely fallen in love with the process. If you don't love the process, it won't ever happen. You're forcing yourself to do something that you're just not really good at or designed to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And credit where credit's due. A lot of my career success, my video marketing success, to a couple of colleagues in California, Brian Stevens and Frank Garay. They have been doing video work for as long as I can remember. They had pushed me into doing video work I don't know, a dozen years ago, and even got to the point where they were calling my wife and calling my friends and asking for help pushing me into video. And I started doing a video blog about mortgages. and it was awful. The content is very difficult to make entertaining. Mortgages are not sexy. They're just not. In fact, 9 out of 10 times, they're a vehicle. People don't want a mortgage. I don't want a mortgage. I want the house.
Right.
The mortgage is the vehicle. And after a while of doing it, and you could tell I was not enjoying it, Brian called me. They still do a daily blog with like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of content a day. It's really impressive. For those of you that aren't familiar, it is the National Real Estate Post. You can look that up. And Brian called me and said, you know, you've been coaching real estate agents on lead generation for years. Why isn't that the content in your video blog? And all of a sudden this light bulb went off. And yeah, everything just took off like a rocket ship because I was enjoying the content. I was having fun doing the videos. And boy, there is no hiding whether or not you are enjoying your own content when it comes across in video.
And
there's no hiding.
And that kind of goes back to a little bit of the paradox of like, you have to create content for your audience, but if you're creating content that's not aligned with who you are, it's going to be shitty. So it's this balance of like, you have to create what you're good at and what you're aligned with. And again, you will attract the right audience of customers that are going to want to do business with you because you care about it. And that's I've seen enough in the industry, specifically real estate, insurance, and mortgage, where people are forced into doing something that they don't necessarily love. And here's the thing, you can create mortgage content and never talk about a mortgage, right? Like you can create content where people are getting to know you, they're getting to build a relationship with you, and you're not actually talking about the business. And when we were at BombBomb, we used to do these, we would survey our clients and we'd find quote unquote influencers, kind of before like influencers were a big thing, but within the space that were doing stuff. And there were some agents that were out there that were simply doing community videos that because they loved where they lived. That's all they cared about. In fact, specifically one guy, Michael Thorne is his name, Throne, Michael Thorne. He's with Remax. He's based out of Vancouver, BC. And he created content that was just blowing everyone's minds. He did one of those like trade up videos where like he started with like a safety pin and he kept trading it up and trying to like get it to the place where he did a house. And it had nothing to do with real estate. It was just simply this video that he started. And this again was like TikTok days. Like I think there's a guy on TikTok trying to get a Tesla at one point, right? These trade up videos. This is like pre all of that. He was doing something. He built an audience of people that just genuinely loved watching it because of what he was doing. And from that, he grew his real estate business. And he's doing a bunch of other really just fantastic stuff. But I always loved what he did because it was never just about real estate. It was about his community, and it was about being able to do things that people could connect with beyond just the business and services that he provided.
Yeah, I think that that's an important piece. And one of the attendees at the event you spoke at for us last month, Dane, if you're watching or listening, Dane had been doing a weekly video blog called Fun Fact Friday.
Yes, that's right. I remembered that.
And he got busy. I don't know what it was, but he quit doing it and then immediately took a vacation to his motherland, which is the East Coast. Is he also from Maine, Jen?
New Hampshire.
New
New Hampshire.
And a bunch of people that he was reconnecting with 2,000 miles away kept asking him, what happened to your Fun Fact Friday videos? How come you quit doing? They didn't have shit to do about real estate. Dane's a real estate agent. And I can't remember what the highlight was. What do you call a group of turtles? Or what do you call baby turtles? A herd of turtles? Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, people thousands of miles away, they're never going to use him to buy or sell a home, wanted to know what happened to his weekly video blog. So hopefully he is ramping that back up because he was getting attention and attraction thousands of miles away. And of course, it's a mobile world. You know, people are constantly moving around, sharing content with one another. Social lends a lot of that. Social media platforms lend to a lot of that. And yeah, if you can make that kind of an impact where people miss seeing you on video a couple of thousand miles away, imagine the impact you can have on your local audience.
Absolutely. And I know we're out of time. I want to be sensitive to that as we're coming towards the top of the hour. But here's the thing, I think on this, Adam, that's so key, that to me, again, people that are absolutely crushing it when it comes to these content strategies is they also are paying attention to the numbers, right? We said, the algorithm, whatever, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, It's not about likes, comments, or engagement, right? How many views you got at the end of the day, right? It is really about the comment section. So that engagement to me is the most important thing. Are you driving conversation in the comments? But the second thing that I find that keeps people in this content game is they're able to track their business back to the content itself. And it's important that you pay attention to that, because if you're doing all this effort and you can't actually drive business from it or see how it's affected your business, why the hell are you going to keep doing it? Because it's fun? Because some speaker, someone on stage said you needed to do content? Like, no. Like, track the numbers. Pay attention. Ask people when you're doing business with them, how'd you hear about me? How'd you hear about our company? And when you start getting, and it's not going to happen right away, right? Like we said, you're not just going to get 5,000 downloads because you posted a podcast.
Wait, but what if I do 5 of them?
Yeah, oh yeah, okay, 5 maybe. But when you start paying attention and you start getting that feedback that people are doing business with you because of the content that you've put out into the world, now you have another motivator to continue to do it, right? Because again, at the end of the day, it is affecting your bottom line. It's affecting the growth of your business. So you gotta,
and it's all an enormous time commitment.
Let's
not pull any
right?
punches. This does take time.
Yep, it does. So you got to know the ROI of it. And
time
if you don't
is money, right?
It is. And if you don't pay attention to it, and too many business owners that I've worked with don't pay attention to that number. They don't know their numbers enough to be able to drive that they were able to increase sales, or they were able to get a referral, or they're able to do these different things because of their time investment, right? Remember, right, Adam, everything you guys are driving to is saying, how you can market without paying someone to do this for you, being able to do it for free, right? Sweat equity over check equity. Well, if you're putting the sweat in and you don't know how it's benefiting you, why are you going to keep doing it? You'll stop at the end of the day. It's just human nature. So you got to pay attention to those numbers. You got to pay attention to the fact that your business is actually growing because of these efforts. And it'll start off with the 1s and 2s for sure. It's never going to be big. Don't overly kind of hype yourself up, but through time and consistency, it absolutely will make an impact on your business, which is why we're here, right? Which is why we have these conversations, which is why we want business owners to continue to make this investment. But if you aren't paying attention to it, you'll never know, and you'll stop doing it after 4 or 5 months. At the end of the guarantee, I see very few people that actually keep doing it because they want to. It has to drive a business result.
All right. So obviously, constancy and consistency are backbones of doing this. And damned be Jen's timeline on our podcast here. But obviously, the ability to quantify and qualify is a big deal. Mm-hmm. We've got to actually be looking at getting some kind of grip on our results. Mm-hmm. How do we do that?
So, to me, it's always about starting simple, right? Anytime you're talking with a new lead, someone that came in, it's always just never the right off the beginning. Hey, how'd you hear about us? That always turns me off when a business owner, I begin a conversation with them, and one of the first things they want to know is, how'd you hear about us? Too early in the relationship for me to tell you that. Like, let's get some value, let's build some connection. But you can't forget to ask that important question of like, hey, I'm really curious, how'd you come across our business? Why are we talking today? And just beginning to pay attention and listen to that feedback that are coming back. So that's one thing, is asking. But the other thing is, I also, anytime you go create a content strategy, whatever it is, podcast, video series, posting online, is what are you wanting out of this? Because at the end of the day, it may not always be just dollars and cents, right? It can be a bigger digital footprint. It can come by other influencers, meeting new people, growing your overall social network, right? Again, not necessarily just
name and brand
fans.
Recognition.
Yeah, but that's your kind of key strategy. But you got to know what you're going in, like what you want to get out of it when you start the process. And again, I think far too many people don't pay attention to that. They think they just have to do it because it's what all the coaches and the consultants are telling them to do. And then, there's always the ones that are like, well, you can't do it yourself, so we'll provide it for you. Well, great. They're going to provide it for you. But again, what are you trying to get out of it? What is your goal here? And without a clearly defined goal, I don't think it's ever going to actually produce the results you're looking for.
Oh, it can't. Yeah, it's impossible. This is really good stuff. Before I forget, Jen, I'm begging you, please beg Jason for a follow-up episode. Get him back on the podcast. Pretty please with sugar on top.
November of 2022 is what I'm booking.
You're booking into November of 22. All right.
We're going to cross into 2023 real soon.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That is
okay.
a lot. That's impressive. Talk about building a lineup. That is, I dig that.
Yeah, of course, do bear in mind every now and then, as happened last week, we have a guest booked for a year in advance or more who says, oh, yeah, I can't do that. I can't remember what she had said the reasoning was. And of course, Facebook made sure we didn't care. She had an appointment.
Facebook crashed anyway, so it didn't end up mattering. So.
All right. So, Jen, what am I missing? And I know you want to plug more of Mr. Sheffield for the event later this month and, of course, for next year's Mile High Mastermind. But why don't you take us home there?
Yeah, so text code at the bottom of the screen, text tips to 63566, and you can get literally everything you could possibly want to know about Just the Tips coaching. You can book a free hour of coaching with us. You can get a copy of Adam's book, all of our past video content. If you want something real amusing, scroll back about 10 years to Adam's weekly tips. That's my favorite thing to share.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
It's my little,
so embarrassing.
I have to do it every once in a while. But yeah, you got to scroll back on that YouTube channel. But I really want to take a minute to talk about Social Media Day. I am so excited to bring Social Media Day back this year. There was no event in 2020, and Adam and I are bringing it back for 2021. Social Media Day was started by Mashable.
I like how she hangs me on the end there because now I'm responsible.
Right. No, I'm so excited. Mashable started Social Media Day back in 2010. Erin Sell started Social Media Day Denver in 2015. She relocated to Puerto Rico, so Adam and I took over Social Media Day this year. Jason will be our first speaker after I get, all the housekeeping stuff out of the way, but he is our first speaker at Social Media Day Denver this year, 9:05 a.m. on October 22nd. Jason will be on stage.
Awesome.
After him, we have a speaker talking about Facebook groups, no matter the size, how to leverage them. Then we have Jeff Tsai talking about stopping the scroll and really talking about the visuals of your marketing. So that really ties in with Jason's content. Anthony talking about smartphone editing. You're literally going to pull out your smartphone and do some video editing right on the spot. In the afternoon, Jen Ruse is flying in from Puerto Rico. She was a full-time lawyer turned travel blogger, and she built her business on TikTok. I'm really excited to meet her. Cami talking about how you resonate matters. Good friend of ours, Danny Colella, talking about live video. Marissa, who Danny introduced us to, Marissa Houston, talking about podcasting 101. She was at Mile High Mastermind as well. Bree Anderson is talking about analytics, all kinds of analytics, but her presentation is called the Social Media Crystal Ball. She lives in Kansas, I want to say, and has never been to Denver before. So she's coming to speak at our event. It'll be her first time in Denver, which is cool. And then Chad, who was a speaker 2 years ago, is finishing us off with Find the Pennies, which ironic that Jason also talks about pennies and he's our first speaker. I didn't even do that on purpose, but tickets are on sale right now. We'll probably close out at the end of the week. The event is next Friday, October 22nd, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Metro State University.
So cool. And again, a big thank you to Metropolitan State University, their involvement, their social media degree program, their offering up of their sacrificial interns and their auditorium space, and on and on. We cannot say enough good things about them and the rest of the folks down at the Auraria campus in downtown Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in the St. Catahan's event space because they booked a class in the auditorium. So we're in it looks like a church on campus, but it's actually an event space, and they moved us over there. So
very cool.
It's a really cool space.
Very cool. All right. What else, Jen? Have we milked enough of Jason's time this week? We're apparently going to milk some more week after next.
Next week,
next
and
month,
then next
and
year.
Yeah.
Loving
it.
I appreciate you, Jason.
We owe you more than 4 pennies, my man. We do. But yeah, it is impressive stuff. And thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great being on with you guys. And I look forward to continuing to hang out in the future.
All right. And don't go anywhere because I'm going to make Jen lock you down for another episode of this as well. But I'm going to go ahead and run our extra. Those of you listening, watching live or in syndication, thanks for tuning in. You can find us at live at 10:30 Monday mornings most Monday mornings, at least when Facebook's working and all of its peripherals.
Right.
And we will certainly be back for future episodes. This is the 40th episode of our 4th season. So don't be afraid to tune in live 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time on Facebook. And then you can pick up our podcast on Apple and Spotify, of course. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. And Jason, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.